It's more symbolic than anything else. I read a startling number yesterday. I don't know yet whether I should believe it, but the Russians have lost over 8 times the population of Vuhledar in Russian soldiers to take it. The cost to Russia to get to this city has been immense. Some of the best estimators, I think, are actually from the UK about what the losses for Russia have been in this war. And now I'm hearing as many as 650,000 dead or severely injured in this war. The cost to Russia is immense. The drain on the manpower in their industries is starting to show as they are unable to do things they need to do industrially. And pretty soon, Mr. Putin is going to have to answer to the mothers, fathers of Moscow and the surrounding cities for the loss or the complete decimation of 650,000 plus soldiers. I don't know how my country could ever do that.
How do you provide that security, those security guarantees for Ukraine, though, while it's still
NATO,
waiting
NATO.
until it joins NATO?
Well, before NATO, then we just have to continue to do things that we have said. In the United States, actually, our verbiage has changed in the last 6 months. We've actually heard our two most senior military leaders, the SecDef and the president, use the word that we're there until Ukraine wins. That's a completely different paradigm than we've lived in. But the again, if I go back to my childhood, here's what my mother used to say: people don't care what you say, they watch what you do. So we have said now that we're going to support Ukraine to win. We're going to have to change our support to Ukraine to allow them to win, all the way back to my first remark in this session, and that is we need new policy.
Yes. Just in terms of developments at the moment, the Ukrainian military is reporting to have used ATACMS ballistic missiles to strike a Russian radar system, destroying the NABO M radar. Can you tell us a little bit about how Russia uses this system and how high value the target is?
So, first, let's just remember this is not the first time that Ukraine has used an ATACMS to strike radars. Most of the times they are doing this, it's in Russian occupied Crimea or inside of the Russian occupied lands of Ukraine or very nearby the border. So, this is nothing extremely new, unless if this radar system was deep inside of Russia, or what we would call deep in this conflict, then that's a very different thing. And that's kind of one of the policies that we want to have addressed. In general, Russia is beginning to feel the brunt of a growing capability inside Ukraine to strike more deeply in Russia. We in the West forbid Ukraine from using Western kit to strike deeply into Russia. And the United States even imposes its will on nations like yours, the United Kingdom, and not allowing them to use Storm Shadow and other things because of American components in those missiles. I personally think this is a horrible policy and it is resulting in real problems for Ukraine. But the fact of the matter is, Ukraine now is building its own capability to fire into Russia, and they're beginning to take the attack to Russia. You've seen some amazing film of the recent strike against the large Russian ammunition depot and striking against aircraft and airfields in the rear. So the radar systems like this one we're talking about are a part of a network that Russia is trying to use to defeat Ukraine's ability to strike deeply into Russia.
And you even signed an open letter recently demanding that Kyiv be granted permissions to strike deep into Russia with these Western missiles. President Biden has been criticized as being weak for not doing so. And some analysts argue that tactical gains would not be decisive to warrant the risk of this retaliation. Do you think that those kind of strikes can then, I mean, you cite the ammo depot being struck, do you think they could be decisive?
Well, the word decisive carries a lot of connotation. What is absolutely true, I know, is that using the ability to precisely strike uniquely military targets on the Russian side of the border is key to any military campaign that Ukraine would run. We would never limit a Western force from striking the enemy before the enemy can come to bear on us. We are now forcing Ukraine to allow Russia into their area before they can strike them with Western weapons. It's absolutely crazy. And you can get pundits saying anything you want, but you're not going to find too many military thinkers who have commanded at senior levels who would share the opinion that we should not allow Ukraine to strike the enemy before the enemy can bring his forces to bear on Ukraine. It's absolutely crazy.
In that light, how optimistic are you about what the new NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte can bring to NATO and to Ukraine?
So I'm always optimistic about NATO. It's the right thing. It's going to be more important in the next 75 years than it was in the last 75 years. And NATO will move forward. I don't know the gentleman. I'm sure he's very good. I'm sure he's very good. May I just say that he has been given a base from Jens Stoltenberg that is absolutely superior. I'm a bit biased. I was invited to be a part of giving him a leadership award in New York just recently on the margins of the UNGA, and got to interview him after he got his award in front of the crowd. And Jens Stoltenberg has done a magnificent job for the European alliance of NATO. And so I think that the new SecGen is going to start from a great place. And yes, he will make new impact on the alliance. I expect only good things.
You've been watching Frontline for Times Radio. My thanks to Louis Sykes, our producer. To support the work of Frontline, hit the subscribe button. You can also listen to Times Radio throughout the day or read it at times.co.uk. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.